The old woman opened her mouth as if she were about to speak. Before a single word came out, the children screamed in terror and ran away from her. Help, they cried. She's going to eat us. But no one helped them, not even their parents. Deep in the woods, far from prying eyes, lived an old woman who was feared by all who knew of her existence. Her hut stood hunched over like a witch's crooked finger pointing accusingly at the sky. Stories told of how children who had strayed too far from the path had disappeared without a trace, vanishing into thin air as if swallowed by the earth itself. Even the bravest of souls hesitated when passing by her house, giving it a wide berth as they hurried along. And if any unfortunate passerby dared ask for directions, the old woman would just smile mysteriously and say nothing. One day, 3 children decided that enough was enough. They refused to let fear dictate their lives any longer. They vowed to confront the mysterious woman head-on and uncover the truth behind her eerie ways. So, with hearts pounding in their chests, the siblings approached the old woman's hut, determined to find answers once and for all. When the old woman saw the children approaching, a wicked grin spread across her face. She had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Finally, she would have someone to entertain her. "Hello, dearies," she said in a voice like nails on a chalkboard. "What brings you to my humble abode?" The children exchanged nervous glances. They had rehearsed what they would say, but now that they were actually here, they couldn't remember a word of it. The eldest of the 3, a girl named Delara, stepped forward. We just wanted to ask you a question," she stammered. "Why are you so mean to everyone?" The old woman's grin widened. "Mean? I'm not being mean," she said, feigning innocence. "I'm just minding my own business. Why do you want to know?" The children were taken aback by her response. They had expected anger, or at least some kind of acknowledgement that she had done something wrong. But this was beyond their wildest imaginations. Elara recovered first and replied, "Because everyone's afraid of you. They think you're a witch." A cackle erupted from the woman's throat, echoing through the trees. "A witch," she repeated. "Well, maybe I am. Maybe I am a witch." She paused, letting the suspense build. "Would you like to see a magic trick?" The children were hesitant, but they had come this far, and there was no turning back now. Plus, we're curious about the magic trick. The old woman beckoned for them to come inside. "Sure," she said. "You can watch me do a little magic trick." The children looked at each other nervously. They nodded and followed her into the house. Inside, the walls were lined with shelves upon shelves of strange and creepy artifacts. As the children's eyes darted around the room, taking in everything they saw, the old woman waved her hand dismissively. "Don't mind these," she said. "They're just some old, dusty things I haven't gotten around to throwing out yet." The children didn't believe her for a second. They kept quiet. The old woman led them into a small kitchen, where she began rummaging through a dusty cupboard. "Now, for my magic trick, I need you to bring me a little stool," she said. "And don't bring me just any stool. Mind you, it needs to be the one with the loose leg. You know, the one that wobbles." One of the children pointed to a stool in the corner. "That one?" he asked. The old woman nodded. "Yes, that's the one." "Thank you." She smiled wickedly. As one of the children went to fetch the stool, the old woman turned to the others and said, "Now, while your brother is getting me the stool, I want you to go out into the forest and bring me back a bucket of fresh water. And make sure it's full, brimming over with water. Do you hear me?" The children nodded, terrified but obedient nonetheless. They knew better than to disobey the old woman. As soon as the children left the hut, the old woman began chanting under her breath. A sinister smile spread across her face as she stirred something in a cauldron that bubbled ominously over a small fire. When the children returned with the bucket of water, the old woman took it from them without a word. She poured the water into the cauldron, causing the liquid inside to turn a deep shade of red. The children gasped in horror, but the old woman just waved her hand dismissively. "Don't be alarmed," she said. "It's just a little special ingredient for my stew." The children weren't convinced. They kept quiet. The old woman then turned to them and said, "Now I need you to go into the forest again and bring me back the biggest, juiciest looking apple you can find. Do you understand?" The children nodded, too afraid to speak. They raced out of the house and into the woods, desperately searching for an apple that met the old woman's exacting standards. When they finally found an apple that looked just right, they quickly picked it and ran back to the house. As soon as they handed the apple to the old woman, she began cutting it in half, revealing a small, glowing orb inside. A cruel smirk spread across her face as she placed the orb into the pot. "Ah, the heart of the forest," she said. "Just what I needed to complete my stew." Before the children could ask any questions, the old woman ladled some of the stew into a bowl and pushed it toward them. "Eat up, dearies," she said. "It'll give you a taste of true magic." The children hesitated, but they knew better than to refuse. They ate the stew, bracing for whatever magic it held in store for them. The old woman watched with amusement as the children struggled to swallow the bitter taste of the stew. "How does it taste?" she asked, unable to contain her glee. "Like dirt and despair." One of the children choked out. The old woman laughed heartily. "That's because it's made with the tears of fairies," she explained. "I captured them and trapped them inside this stew. Their magic is potent and delicious." The children felt a sudden surge of anger. They had been tricked. The old woman hadn't meant to share her magic with them. She had only wanted to use them. "Let's go home," one of the children said, realizing the danger they had been in. The old woman reached out and grabbed his arm. "Oh no, dearies," she said. "You're not going anywhere. Now that you've tasted my magic, you're a part of my stew. We're all gonna stay here together forever." The children struggled against the old woman's grip. There was no use. Her magic was too strong. Then Alara had an idea. She turned to the old woman and said, "Wait, you said we're all gonna stay here forever, right? Well, I have a question for you." The old woman leaned closer, intrigued. "What is it?" she asked. Alara took a deep breath. "You said we're all gonna stay here forever, right? Well, what happens when the king comes looking for me?" The old woman's face drained of color. She stumbled back as if struck by lightning. "What do you mean, the king?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Alara smiled. She had learned well from the stories her grandmother used to tell her. She knew exactly what to say to break a curse. "He comes looking for me every full moon to take me back to the kingdom," she said. "But if he finds me with you, you won't be able to hide. He'll know that you stole me away." The old woman's eyes widened in fear. She looked from Alara to the children, and back to Alara. You're bluffing," she stammered. "The king wouldn't come looking for you. He doesn't care what happened to you." Alara shook her head. "He would if he knew, and I intend to make sure he does." The old woman hesitated, torn between her desire to keep Alara with her and her fear of the king's wrath. In the end, fear won out. With trembling hands, she released the children. "Go," she whispered. "Get out of here before he finds me." The children didn't need to be told twice. They ran as fast as they could away from the old woman-ass house and toward the safety of their village. Behind them, they heard the old woman-ass screams echoing through the woods as the king-ass men closed in on her. They didn't look back. They didn't need to. They knew that the old woman was gone for good this time. As they raced through the forest, the children couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. They had outsmarted the evil witch and saved themselves from her clutches. From that day on, the children became known as heroes throughout the land. And as for the old woman, well, let's just say she never messed with anyone's story again.